Welcome to A Wealth of Useless Knowledge, where we dive into some fun and entertaining topics. You're sure to learn something new here, and maybe even have a laugh or two. Now let's get into today's video. We all had our favorite toys back in the day, the ones we couldn't wait to get home from school just so we could play with them. Some we enjoyed because they lit up, spun around, and made lots of noise, while others we enjoyed just for their simplicity. Some we found as we were down the aisles of Toys R Us, while others caught our eye via the commercials that would come on between our Saturday morning cartoons. However we came across our favorite toys, there's no denying that 90s kids got to experience some of the best toys that ever existed. Now this video is part 3 of a series on this channel, so if you haven't seen parts 1 and 2 yet, I highly recommend you check those out. But in this video, we'll be taking a look at 10 more iconic toys that most 90s kids would remember. So grab your favorite snack and stay tuned. Before we had Google and ChatGPT, people used to ask their most pressing questions to a ball. No, not a crystal ball, but rather a magic 8-ball. These were all the rage back in the day, and people really found joy in this simple yet novel toy. It was designed to look like an 8-ball from the game of pool and was filled with a blue liquid and a triangular die with over a dozen answers that would appear in a random order when shook. It was intriguing to many and kind of a mystery, offering cryptic answers to all of your most random questions. It was so popular, in fact, that it even became ingrained in pop culture.
I'm just going to leave it entirely up to the gods of fate.
Will Andy pick me?
Ask again later. What the hell? This is broken. It is broken.
Don't count on it! Oh!
Even more interesting than the toy itself was the history of how it came to be, and the fact that earlier versions of the product weren't even a ball at all, but rather a cylinder. This fortune-telling toy was invented by a man by the name of Albert Carter, the son of a psychic medium. It was inspired by a spirit writing device used by his clairvoyant mother, known as the Psycho Slate. It was known to consist of a piece of slate within a box and a writing utensil similar to chalk or a pencil, used to communicate with the spirit world. Seeing his mother use the device sparked interest in Albert and prompted him to create his own unique fortune-telling device. So in 1944, he launched the Psycho Seer home fortune teller. It was a 7-inch can-shaped device with a glass window on each end. It was filled with a viscous dark liquid and a 6-sided die, and was an invention that would set the stage for what would later become the Magic 8-Ball. A storekeeper by the name of Max Levinson took interest in stocking the product and also wanted to further improve and market it. So he recruited the aid of his brother-in-law, Abe Bookman, who suggested improvements to the original design. Before long, Carter, Levinson, and Bookman would form the company Alabe Crafts, under which they would sell the new and improved product. The device would undergo several evolutions from its larger cylindrical shape to a smaller one, and it was even designed to resemble a crystal ball at one point. That is, up until 1950, when Chicago-based business Brunswick Billiards commissioned the company to design a version of the fortune teller in the form of a traditional black and white 8-ball, and the rest is history. Now, if you weren't fighting the Magic 8-Ball for the answers to all of life's most pressing questions, then maybe you were play fighting with your collection of G.I. Joe action figures. This military-inspired toy was launched back in 1964 and was created by American inventor Stanley Weston. Weston was inspired by the popularity of Barbies at the time and wanted to make a toy just as groundbreaking for boys. With that in mind, he set out to create a line of fully posable toy soldiers and pitched the idea to Hasbro. The new toy would first be known as America's Movable Fighting Man and was launched as a 12-inch military-themed figure that came with a wide variety of outfits and accessories. Shortly after their launch, the toy's name would be changed from America's Movable Fighting Man to simply G.I. Joe. The initial figurines launched were designed to represent 4 branches of the US Armed Forces, with the Action Soldier representing the Army, the Action Sailor representing the Navy, the Action Pilot to represent the Air Force, and an Action Marine for the Marine Corps. It also featured an Action Lifeline to represent the Coast Guard, and later on an Action Nurse would end up being added to the lineup. You had everything you needed to be ready for battle, and the toy would quickly become a hit, flying off store shelves about as fast as they could be stocked. Throughout the years, as interest in the toy continued to grow, the toy itself would actually begin shrinking. As in 1982, Hasbro would launch smaller versions of the action figures, shrinking them down to just under 4 inches tall, all the while introducing a whole new cast of characters. And it didn't stop there, as the toys were so popular that they even prompted the launch of an animated TV show and a comic series, turning the toy into a full-blown action-packed universe. Sales would continue to soar, and in 2004, G.I. Joe would end up getting inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame, proving it was more than just a toy, but rather an American icon beloved by the masses. And if you weren't fighting wars with your G.I. Joes, maybe you were duking it out with your friends using some Rock'em Sock'em robots. This iconic toy was created by Mark's Toys and made their debut back in 1964. The game was pretty simple, but super fun. You've got 2 robot fighters in a ring, and your goal is to knock the other guy's block off, quite literally. Each player controls 1 robot using levers to make them punch, and the first one to send their opponent's head flying wins. It was a classic battle of skill and luck and kept kids entertained for hours on end. These battling robots came in 2 vibrant colors and featured oversized heads that would pop off with the satisfying ping when they got hit just right. This toy was so popular that it's even been seen all throughout pop culture, as it's been referenced everywhere from the Toy Story franchise, as well as in an old episode of Futurama.
Yeah, it is cute.
Now, although this toy isn't as mainstream as it was back in the day, they are still available and they'll forever be remembered as a nostalgic favorite. Another nostalgic favorite would be the old school toy Lite-Brite. Lite-Brite was created by the Chicago-based toy company Marvin Glass & Associates, and it first hit shelves back in 1967. The concept was simple, but nonetheless cool. It featured a light-up board where you could insert colorful pegs to create hundreds of glowing designs. Not only was the toy itself great, but it was yet another one of those toys with a catchy jingle. And if you've been watching this channel for a while now, y'all know I love a good jingle. Needless to say though, this toy quickly became a hit and people were rushing into retail stores all over to snag one. It was simple and classic, and it was known for sparking creativity and making it possible to create hundreds of fun designs of most anything, from abstract art to familiar characters, all lit up in bright colors. And to put the cherry on top, when you were done creating, you could even admire your masterpiece as a nightlight. This classic toy would eventually be licensed to Hasbro, and over time it evolved by continuing to add new kits and designs to keep up with changing trends. Not only did this iconic toy see success initially, but it had managed to continue to maintain popularity for decades thereafter, as it even became named one of the top 100 toys of all time by Time magazine, and was even inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame as recently as 2022. Even though it started out as a toy of the 60s, its reach far surpassed its decade, as it stuck around as a nostalgic favorite beloved by many generations, including 90s kids, and it's still a popular toy to this day. Now, if you've been a gamer since the 90s, chances are you either had or wanted a Game Boy Color. This portable gaming console was released as an upgrade to the original Game Boy by Nintendo back in 1998, the same year that they launched their own cereal.
What?
That's right, y'all. Nintendo had a cereal back in the day. If you haven't seen my nostalgic cereals video yet, be sure to check it out right after this one. I'll leave a link for it down in the pinned comment and up in the iCards. The 1998 launch of the Game Boy Color was a huge deal at the time, as up until this point, graphics on the handheld system had previously just been limited to black and white. It was a great time for gaming, and with the new design, you could now escape into a world of color with vibrant graphics and all of your favorite games. The upgrade was hailed for its colorful, compact design, improved display clarity, and its backward compatibility, allowing you to still play all your old game cartridges in addition to the new ones they launched with the upgrade, giving you the best of both worlds. As a companion to the Game Boy Color, Nintendo released popular games like The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening DX, Pokemon Gold and Silver, and Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Needless to say, it was yet another big success for Nintendo, with millions of units sold, and it helped to further cement the company's dominance in the handheld gaming market. The popularity of the Color upgrade stuck around for quite some time. Even after the release of the Game Boy Advance in 2001, the previous version still held its ground, with some even opting to forgo purchasing the upgrade and continue enjoying their Game Boy Color for years to come. So there's no denying this release was a huge hit. Speaking of a hit, if you're still here watching and enjoying the video, why not hit the like button and subscribe? It's free and easy to do, plus it helps the channel out a lot too. Keeping fun content like this headed your way.
I appreciate you.
Now, keeping in line with hit toys entering the market, we can't forget about hit clips. This toy was launched back in the year 2000, and it just screams nostalgia. These tiny little music players hit the scene at the turn of the century and were all the rage. They're about the size of a small keychain and were designed with tiny music cartridges that let you play short 60-second clips of popular songs from artists like the Backstreet Boys, Hilary Duff, NSYNC, Destiny's Child, and more. They were marketed towards teens and preteens as a fun new way to carry all your favorite music around in a super portable way. Kind of like an early version of a CD player, but way more compact. And who cared if you only got a portion of your favorite song? That 60-second snippet was just enough to be music to the ears of 90s kids. We didn't require much back then, y'all. It was a simpler time. These miniature music players offered dozens of cartridges, so you could collect all your favorite jams. They were a huge hit for a brief time, but they didn't last long as they were ultimately overtaken by bigger and better music technology like the iPod, but they'll forever be a part of the pop culture canon. By the way, I actually did an entire video breaking down the origin and the evolution of the iPod and how it changed the way we listen to music today. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to check it out right after this. Now, another toy that most 90s kids would remember is Gigapets. This digital keychain pet craze basically ruled the 90s. And if you had one, you were pretty much the coolest kid on the block. And if you had a backpack full of them, well, then you were by all standards a millionaire of your elementary school class. These digital pets were launched by Tiger Electronics back in 1997, just a year after the release of Tamagotchis, adding more competition into the virtual keychain pet market. The concept was simple. You'd feed, clean, and play with your pet to keep it alive and happy. If you ignored it for too long though, your pet would either get mad at you, get sick, or ghost you by going on to virtual pet heaven. It was like real life, but with way less responsibility. And maybe, just maybe, if you could keep your virtual pet alive long enough, you could convince your parents to get you a real one. There were all types of Gigapets to choose from: dogs, cats, dinosaurs, and even a unicorn, because why not? The whole Gigapet craze didn't last forever, but it surely was iconic. And if you had one, you were definitely part of the cool kids club. Next on the list is the Tickle Me Elmo. Many of us loved Sesame Street growing up, and Elmo was one of the fan-favorite characters of the show, known for his cheerful personality and a smile just as vibrant as his bright red fur. With Elmo being as popular as he was, it only made sense that he would become a prime pick for Sesame Street merchandise. The Tickle Me Elmo doll was launched back in 1996 by Tyco and featured a soft plush-like design. He would laugh, wiggle, and even say silly phrases when you tickled his belly. This toy hit really big that year, becoming a major holiday sensation. In fact, it became so popular that stores couldn't even keep it on the shelves. I mean, people were quite literally fighting over it, as it was known for causing some of the most intense toy shopping frenzies ever, with people lining up for hours or even days to grab one.
Tickle Me Elmo is the hottest thing this Christmas, sold out of stores everywhere. But is it all just marketing and media hype? Here's Jeffrey Kaufman on Elmo Mania.
Just ask them in Fredericton, where 48 of the bug-eyed beasts were put on sale at a local Walmart. And one of the clerks was sent to hospital after being trampled in the frenzy.
Somebody in the crowd yelled, "There's the Elmos," and they rushed us.
The sales of this beloved Elmo toy made such an impact that just 2 years after its launch, Elmo himself even got his own spotlight at the end of Sesame Street with his segment Elmo's World. Since Tickle Me Elmo's launch nearly 3 decades ago, there have been multiple versions of the toy released, each one adding more hysterical giggles, movements, and features. This toy would go on to become one of the most iconic 90s toys ever, selling millions of units. So it's safe to say that while Elmo was laughing hysterically, Tycho was laughing all the way to the bank. Now you guys, I can't help but introduce this next toy by asking the question, have you heard about Betty?
Have you heard about Betty? Betty Spaghetti.
Betty Spaghetti was one of those dolls that almost every girl wanted when they first came out. She was invented and designed by a lawn dancer and was licensed to Ohio Art Company back in 1998. She was a bendable, customizable doll with stretchy spaghetti-like hair that you could twist, style, and arrange however you wanted. She came with tons of accessories like clothes, shoes, and purses, so you could change up her look as often as you liked, and there were tons of separately sold items as well, so you could easily expand your collection. This unique bendable doll quickly became a hot ticket item, as it was praised for its hands-on creative aspect of styling and all the customizations it offered. The toy maintained its popularity until the original line was discontinued back in 2004, only to be relaunched in 2007 and then axed yet again. The brand was later purchased by Moose Toys and made one final comeback back in 2016, and has been on the market since. But when it comes to toy relaunches, there's just nothing quite like the original. Now, if you played your cards right, chances are you would have acquired some of the best toys the 90s had to offer. And speaking of cards, how about them Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Yu-Gi-Oh trading cards were first launched in Japan by Konami back in 1999. The official card game was based on the popular Japanese manga and anime series created by Kazuki Takahashi. The game quickly took off in a huge way thanks to the anime's popularity. In the show, characters used cards to battle each other, and the real-life card game let players do the same.
It's time to duel!
The cards featured everything from monsters to spells, traps, and more. The ultimate goal? Use strategy to outsmart your opponent and reduce their life points to 0. The game's mix of strategy, collectible cards, and exciting duels made it a hit with kids and teens. And in 2002, just 3 years after their initial launch, Yu-Gi-Oh cards would hit store shelves around the world. And it quickly went from being just a card game available in Japan to a global franchise, with trading cards, video games, movies, and merchandise available worldwide, further solidifying the brand's success. Over the years, the game has continued to evolve, adding new sets and mechanics, and it still has a dedicated fan base to this day. Now, whether or not the favorite toys of your childhood were the ones with all the bells and whistles, or they were a classic known for their simplicity, there's no denying that the 90s was one of the coolest decades for toy production. Now, the list of toys 90s kids got to experience is pretty extensive, and this is by no means an exhaustive list. So if you'd like me to keep this series going with a part 4, hit the like button and comment part 4 down below. Also, feel free to drop your favorite toys down in the comments section, or let me know what your favorite toy was from the list. If you enjoy nostalgic content like this and want to take some more trips down memory lane, check out my nostalgia playlist. I'll have it linked for you down in the pinned comment and up in the iCards. If you found this video educational or entertaining, it would be
Delightful. Really delightful.
if you would like, share, and hit that subscribe button for more content.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
As always, thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep learning.